Faith is literally the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Without faith, you're nothing. My faith comes in every day that I'm not working a corporate America job and I don't have a guaranteed paycheck. All of the pillars that you talked about all come down to one thing, which is knowledge and wisdom. And my people perish for lack of knowledge. I come from a long line of pastors. My grandparents are ministers, my parents are ministers, my parents. It kind of drove me nuts because if you ever want to know about a New Year's Day or a New Year's Eve, that's not what we did. We were in church 24/7. I'm talking 3 services a day on Sunday sometimes.
Wow. Why would you juggle what you're doing right now? Because that's a full-time gig. People don't know behind the scenes. We're on cardio in the morning and you're literally like texting people on the phone, going into the sauna, getting people pissed off because you're talking to people.
This has been the hardest fight of my life.
I really want to be able to give content that people are going to walk away more empowered with actual skills and tools that they can take away from this and be able to help themselves in everyday life as we go on this journey with them.
Why fitness?
Right, grew up, parents got separated. I watched how a dysfunctional relationship can impact both religion, family dynamics, the whole nine. I lived with my grandparents for an extended period of time. Found out he had cancer, and so that Thanksgiving we spent in the hospital. He had surgery, and so he went through a tremendous battle over a 5-year period that was just terrible. And watching him not eat and go through that, I actually started to study fitness, and so genetically, I could do things that I couldn't explain. I could eat freaking donuts, tamales, whatever. It didn't even matter. And I still freaking, crushing on sports. But when you have somebody to learn how to pick things up, walk, do those things, that really impacted me.
Between a divorce and your grandpa getting sick, you really had no reason to believe in God.
No, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. It's not that I didn't believe, I always believed. I didn't know how to connect with God. I had a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness that was there. And I didn't realize I was being refined. I felt really uncomfortable sharing my testimony. Like I wasn't worthy, right? I just heard this voice like, be real. Don't be something you're not, be real.
Yeah.
So I shared what I just shared, my struggles.
Open up.
All these dudes started opening up.
Yep.
About pornography, looking at like things like just crazy. Why, right? When we talked about measure it, when we had those 4 pillars, so we talked about the faith aspect.
Yeah.
Obviously, fitness is a key component. Now, you talked about your family, finance. Why do you think this message is going to resonate with the audience, listeners, and what is the message that you want to convey to them?
Everything.
So we're about to kick off something that we've embarked on. Well, literally, I've conceptualized this for the last year, just talking to you.
I know you've been talking about it forever, Don.
Took about 6 months just to even get your attention.
Yeah.
I know you're juggling a lot, but I think this podcast that we're going to bring forth to our audience, Measure It, is going to be incredible. We've got some amazing partners behind the scene, Mercedes and Denise, and now we get to bring our message out there to the forefront and help inspire people and bring unity, which is something we've been talking about for a while.
For a minute. Yeah.
So I'd like to give the audience an opportunity to learn a little bit about you and our podcast and why you chose to.
How much time do we have? I got a lot to say.
You always do. So tell us your story, E. How did you start in life? What was your journey like in first faith?
Yeah.
Then fitness, family, and finance.
Yeah. So an interesting fact most people don't know is I come from a long line of pastors. My grandparents are ministers. My parents are ministers. I've literally.
Well, hold up. Are you serious?
Yeah. I never told.
The entire time I've known you.
That's because we're always lifting weights and you never want to talk about church. You always want to be squatting. But long line on both sides of my family. My grandfather, my dad's side, fire-breathing Southern preacher. So really grew up in faith.
Like faith. Baptist?
Non-denominational.
Okay.
Non-denominational, charismatic. So moves of spirit, like all that stuff I grew up in, right? And so that was really what I call our foundation. And so, I was literally grew up in church. So I call myself a Southern military guy. My dad was strict, but he was, at the end of the day, we're going to serve Christ in this house. And when you're 18, you can do whatever you want. But for now, you're going to serve Christ. And that's for me in my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And I was kind of rebellious. it kind of drove me nuts because if you ever want to know about a New Year's Day or a New Year's Eve, that's not what we did. We were in church 24/7. I'm talking 3 services a day on Sunday sometimes.
Wow.
And so that was pretty much, the baseline, right? And so went off and kind of did my own thing. But to the point, the reason why I enjoy this podcast, and when you mentioned it, the faith is literally the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Without faith, you're nothing. And so for me, faith in God has always been everything, regardless of whether you run, train up a child in the way you go, and when they're young, when they're old, they will not depart. So it's always been in me. And so my parents, like I said, they grew up in North Carolina, originally from there. We're military, kind of bounced all over the world. So I've lived in Japan, lived in Germany. And when I got out of college, I was living in New York. I hate cold weather. And I worked for the Department of Defense, that's our veteran military background. I had an opportunity to move to Silicon Valley, and they brought me here. And literally, when I tell you, what's funny is God has a funny way of doing things. I've never ever wanted to live west of Texas. I've literally talked crap about California my entire life. And believe it or not, the day that I moved here, I had so much freedom, and literally, I don't know where I would be without this state, is what I like to say. God completely revolutionized my thinking, everything, the day that I touched soil in California. So I'm so grateful for the transformation, the part of life. And so that brought me here, and I was working, doing all types of stuff, but working for Department of Defense. And one day I was driving on 101. I was like, man, I would love to work at one of those big tech companies. That was my goal. That was my dream, my vision. I want to work in a tech company. Had an opportunity, and that was the day the pandemic hit. And then we started the Bourbon Company going on 2020. So God has a funny way of doing
So you started
things.
the Bourbon Company during the pandemic.
The day after George Floyd got murdered, my co-founders called me. And what's interesting is about 2 days before, there was this article online that read, "Black wealth to diminish in America by 2040. And I said to myself out loud, actually, your words are so powerful, which we'll get into, talking about faith and words. I said, I want to do something that's going to generate generational wealth. That's what create generational wealth. And then not even 2 days later, my cousins called me and said, hey man, I have this idea. We're getting these guys together to start Bourbon Company. I just laughed out loud, honestly, because I was like, I'm not even drinking bourbon. What do you need me for? He's like, man, just get on a call with me. And he told me about these stories of these African American jockeys, and all of this history, Black history, and really American history that they were celebrating. I said, oh my God, I gotta be a part of that. So that's been in my journey. And so I would say you really don't know. You really don't know anything in life, really, right? God knows. God has the final say. If you had told me years ago that I would have left a good paying, quality corporate American job to do something full time as an entrepreneur in alcohol, I would have told you you're a liar. But here we are now, 5 years. We started small, and now we're growing. I went from doing, I think when you met me, we were still growing, to now I'm a couple thousand cases, and we're in Bevmo, Total Wine, Whole Foods, just in the year.
So has it been easy?
Yeah.
You had a lot of capital to get started?
No capital at all. Literally, we put together a couple $1,000s and went to work.
So that's where faith came in.
That's where faith came in. My faith comes in every day that I'm not working a corporate America job and I don't have a guaranteed paycheck. I literally live off.
And you just worry about yourself, right? You don't have anybody else to take care of.
My wife and my 2 kids who are in this super expensive Silicon Valley schools.
So how did you meet her?
Yeah, my wife. We met at the gym. Not at your gym, though. Not at your gym. At 24. Which, I'm allowed to say that on camera? I don't know.
Of course.
UFC team now. Okay. Yeah, we met at the gym. I'm a basketball player by trade. Then as I got older, as I'm getting closer to you in age, I now started doing lifting weights and cardio. But yeah, we met at the gym almost 14 years ago. And we've been married for 8. Now I have 2 daughters. It's been 5 and 3. So it's been a journey, which is why I look up.
So you're launching a business and literally doing it with a family and little ones, where you don't have a guaranteed income.
Nothing. No. This journey is God all the way.
So why would you juggle what you're doing right now? Because that's a full-time gig. I see how much you're working. Literally, people don't know behind the scenes. We're on cardio in the morning, and you're literally texting people on the phone, going into the sauna, getting people pissed off because you're talking to people in the sauna, trying to hustle. Now, I'll say this: being a part of this journey, watching you from afar has been amazing. Seeing your will, your commitment to growing your brand, but really the story behind the brand and how you bring that power to life and share that is inspirational.
No, thank you, man. And we're kindred spirits, man. I look up to you. I hope to be as good looking as you when I'm your age one day, you know. You know, but so I remember years back when we had connected at 24 during the pandemic, right? I think maybe the gyms had just opened, I think maybe. And you were there like early in the morning. I'd like to think I get up early, but you literally wake the roosters. Have you always been getting up at freaking 3 a.m.?
Yeah, I'll share that after we get through your story. I think the audience needs to hear your story. So, okay, you got the Bourbon brands, your family. Now, why, when we talked about measure it, when we had those 4 pillars, so we talked about the faith aspect. Yeah. Obviously, fitness is a key component. Now, you talked about your family. Finance. Why do you think this message is going to resonate with the audience, listeners, and what is the message that you want to convey to them?
All of the pillars that you talked about all come down to one thing, which is knowledge and wisdom. And my people perish for lack of knowledge. And so if we can educate people on how to properly handle your finances, or even share nuggets or two to really help the viewers see that like it's not easy. Right, finances are tough. Like they're the number one cause of divorce. Right, that's a major thing. But to your point, when you don't have, if any of those 4 pillars are out of whack, your entire life is out of whack.
100%.
100%. You'd have all of those lined together, right? And so finance is one of those things. And in my community specifically, like it's a taboo. We don't really talk about money. For as smart as my dad was, he was an Air Force colonel. Money was not something that we just openly talked about. You know, growing up, it was never, how much does rent cost? How much is this? And so I wanted to open dialogue to have a conversation about, hey, these are finance, these are monthly bills, this is what it looks like. You know, what does a checkbook look like? How are you balancing your rent? You know, I'm teaching my daughters all the time now. When I give them money, I'm like, hey man, you're gonna pay taxes on that. I'm taking the tax back. These are things that we didn't learn growing up that we need to pass on to the next generation and get better, right? So that's what was important to me. When you mentioned the pillars to me, I was like, wow, this is something, you know, because you know how I feel about podcasts.
I know.
You know how I feel about, I'm not team pod, but when you told me the idea, something just really resonated in me. I was like, wow, you have this on home. Like those are the 4 pillars. I was like, wow, that's phenomenal. Like when I think about that, my life's revolved around those 4 pillars forever.
Yeah, you know, financial literacy really makes or breaks things for people. And here's the thing, right? The thing that I love about getting to listen to your story and message is you talk about a perspective of being a minority in America and being able to start a company, bootstrap a company, raise a family, right? And you have a blended family. It's not like, you know, it's traditional, right?
Black and yellow.
Yeah. So, I mean, no. And that's what I love, though, right? That's what America is. It's a cultural melting pot.
Absolutely.
And more importantly, we have so many things in common, right? And that message of unity transcended everything when we were discussing why do we want to release this? I really want to be able to give content that people are going to walk away more empowered with actual skills and tools that they can take away from this and be able to help themselves in everyday life as we go on this journey with them. Because it's going to evolve, right? There's going to be an evolution to this process that we start. And it's important that the listeners, as we're starting in these early stages, in this infancy stage, that they know that there's going to be a lot of content, guests, different things. But the first thing is our why, right? Why are we doing this? And what do we want to give you, right? That's important. I think the why behind the what is the message anybody that starts a business has to think about. So
we've been working out now together for what, almost 2 years, almost every day for 2 years.
Actually, brother, it's been 4. I started with you when we were over there at 24, and then in the pre-sale 3 years. We were in that little, I was training you.
In the little,
I was training you. I remember the first time I seen you, I never seen you turn white. Like you literally were like the UNC outline. You literally turned white.
Weights. You know I don't like lifting weights, man. I'm a basketball guy all day. You know?
I was dying. I was like, damn, are you okay? You're like, I need to go outside, dude.
It was hot in there too, man. We were wearing masks, golly.
Well, we weren't wearing masks. Let's be transparent. I wasn't vibing on that whole thing anyway.
You know how I feel about that. Yeah. But for the past 4 years, what's interesting is you being a Bay Area local, which we'll get into, me being a Southerner. The one thing you mentioned about this podcast is unity. There's more things that bring us together as a society than separates us, right? And I think that was important for you to convey when you were talking about this podcast and this idea. I was like, man, we have so much in common. And when we are working out together, where we're at music, whatever we're doing, it's like we have more commonalities. And so many times, especially in America nowadays, we're divided by everything: race, creed, religion, political parties. I mean, just everything is always about division. And so you have the idea to bring something on this podcast to bring unity. I thought, wow, that's something nobody's talking about.
No.
I don't know anybody that's talking about unity right now in America. It's just you're black, I'm white, you're Mexican, you're Republican, I'm Democrat, and we're just fighting. Just everybody's walking around mad, just
For no reason.
for no freaking reason.
Well, and let's be transparent. I think as we're looking at this, we're literally launching a media company with our partners here.
Yeah.
And that message of unity in this media company needs to be out there because it's media that is putting that narrative out there that is creating that negative stigmatism
Absolutely.
in the US right now. And it drives me nuts because there's no need for it. There really is no need. You have a family, I have a family, we have responsibilities. Those pillars that we talked about, faith, fitness, family, finance, they're important for everybody. It's like four legs on a stool. One is gone, you tumble.
1,000%.
That's
1,000%. And in a day, and like you said, can I feed my family? And what is your family going through? Like, that's one thing I like about you, Don. We have a conversation about like kids and what it was like and your kids growing up. And I'm always asking you for like advice. Like, I just, as a father, what can I do to do this better as I'm navigating this journey? And like other people need to hear that. And that's not division. That's saying, hey, you need to feed your family. You're a family guy, get your money right. You know what I mean? And so this idea of division it drives me nuts. And so I'm glad we were able to come together on this particular this section, this podcast, to say, hey, man, there's more. When we get to talking about these episodes, you're going to see everybody's going through the same struggle.
Agree.
Black, white, blue, purple, don't matter what you are in the day. Everybody's going through the same. Can I feed my family? Can I take care of my family? Can I provide? That's the end of the day. That's all we're trying to do.
Agree.
You know, especially as men.
100%.
You know, I just want to provide for my family and give them a better life than I had growing up. That's it.
So what nugget do you want to drop for the audience that kind of sums up your story in a nutshell?
Man, that is a good question. That was not on the list of questions there, Don. My story, I think, if I had to sum it up, man, it would just be staying faithful. You got to freaking fight. Every single day you have to fight. And I think also, you know, I would say your story it could change, right? Your path could change. But I'm one that's resilient. You got to stay resilient, especially those that are watching that are going to be either entrepreneurs or going to be entrepreneurs. You got to freaking fight every day. Do not get down. They talk about how, you know, rejection is God protections. God must be protecting me so much because I get rejected like literally every day.
You and me both.
How many no's do you get? How many no's have you got from investors, from banks, from as you're building? You have to stay faithful, right? You have to stay committed. And ultimately, it goes back to the first pillar, faith.
100%.
Do you believe in it? And that's what I want to tell people is if you believe in something, if you have faith in something, don't quit. Please do not quit. You have to it's a freaking mountain. You're going to climb it every day. Some days you're going to take 50 steps and then other days you're going to take one. But if you keep climbing, you keep fighting, eventually you're going to get there. You know, and that's really been my story. I mean, I don't want to say I come from like money or I come from privilege, but my father was just the antithesis of a great man, you know, and he fought for this. He served in the country, served in the military, but he really taught us just to love people and really set me up for success. And I'm always grateful for that, you know. And I really didn't know how good I had it. You know, particularly in African American, you know, our history or culture, really, there's a culture of like not having dads around. I never knew that was a thing. So much so that growing up, people would call our family the Cosbys because we had both parents in the home and we had a pretty darn good home, right? And I was just like, whoa, this is you grew up without a dad, like your dad wasn't around. I'm like, man, my dad would get on my nerve. Yeah, I didn't realize how good I have it. So I'm always thankful to God for the journey that I've been on. And the life that you live, and you don't get to pick your family, but if I could have picked it, I couldn't have picked a better one, you know. So yeah, this is a journey is journey of faith. That's what I think. I think that's what sums it up.
Well, I'm looking forward to taking this journey with you, my brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for the audience, tell us the reason and the meaning behind Old Hillside and why you guys came up with that. And you talked about, and that's really what drew me in. Tell us about the story of the jockeys.
Yeah. So the name, so there's something powerful in a name. So Hillside High School is the oldest African-American high school in the United States. in Durham, North Carolina, where we're originally from. So if you know anything about history, if you know anything about Durham, you know there are 5 Black Wall Streets in America. And for those that aren't familiar, Black Wall Streets were a place in the time where the country was completely segregated. Post-slavery, African Americans had their own because they were not allowed to integrate with whites. So we had our own banks, we had our own buildings, we had our own post offices, and one of those were located in Durham, North Carolina. So, for example, the Mutual Building, which is on our bottle here, it is the oldest African American insurance agency in America because we couldn't have insurance with white people; we had to get our own. And so that was the basis for the brand. And so my co-founder Jesse, who was living in Kentucky after he got out the military, he invited us all out to a horse race, and I had never been to nothing like that. I was like, I thought the Kentucky Derby was just something rich people go to. And we went out there and we're looking around, realized there were no African Americans, and then we started doing research and realized African Americans had built the sport of horse racing. We're like, why isn't anybody talking about this history here, right? So much so, 13 of the first 15 Kentucky Derby winners were African American males. Because during that time, it was natural for they were born enslaved, and then they're natural to be outside with the horses. So they just became jockeys, and it became a thing. That was really the pillar that inspired us to start the brand. It was, let's celebrate unsung heroes via history, heritage, and homage is our tagline. And so whether it is the African-American jockeys, this year we'll unveil the very first women horse racing, and then later on next year, we're going to unveil the very first African-American unit to fight in World War I. So we just want to celebrate unsung heroes, and we do that via our bourbon, And so the idea was, let's come together, unity. It was never about let's get drunk. Let's come together and let's celebrate those good times and let's reminisce and let's honor people. And that's what our brand is about, And it's been this is going on year 6 of business, And I want to quit every day. Every day I want to quit. It is a fight. This has been the hardest fight of my life. Literally, when you're on vacation, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't get any days off. There are no days off for me. You know how it goes.
Yeah,
You've
100%.
built it. There's no days off. People on vacation, I'm up late at night on the planes on the way from New York. I'm writing comp plans. I'm doing a sales thing. I'm looking at financial data. I'm trying to figure out the money, trying to move cases. Like this has just been my life.
And paying everybody before you pay yourself.
Yeah, I don't even get paid. This is get a check and make sure my guys are fed. When I raise money, which I raised a significant amount, they ate. I didn't. This is what it takes.
Of course.
This is what it takes, but I believe in it. If you don't believe in anything, you have to believe in it. If you're building something you don't believe in it, what are you doing?
100%.
But you celebrate the small wins. We were in New York last week, and if you had told me that I'd be sitting around talking to a super wealthy venture capitalist about my brand, and then the other week we were on, we got shouted out in Bel Air on Peacock, right? I'm just like, wow, this is amazing, right? It's not going to be rainbows at all. It's a fight, but you keep fighting, and I'm thankful. I always say, I never thought I'd be an alcohol CEO, right? I thought maybe I'd be a CEO at some point, but I always say I'm so grateful to my co-founders because they started the company. I didn't start it. They called me, and for them to start something and put me ahead, had to take away the egos. And I always say they were used by God to put me into purpose. So when I was in corporate America, I was the best corporate America person ever, but I wasn't fulfilled. And if you're not in purpose, you're empty.
100%.
And I think that's what sometimes we try to find fulfillment in our jobs, in our careers. That's the thing in America. We work so hard, but if you're not in purpose, it means nothing. I am in purpose now. Now it's not hard. It's not easy, but I'm fulfilled. I wouldn't have it any other way, And so been grateful now for walking on this journey now for almost 5 years.
Well, you said something today that struck me this morning, and for our audience, they don't realize we work out at 4 something in the morning.
Well, let's stop there. Okay. I want to stop there. I don't like to work out at 4 in the morning. Don likes to work out at 4 o'clock in the morning, but you are early bird. You get up at like freaking 3 o'clock, But
how much more productive is it?
1,000%.
You have to, right?
You have to.
And
money is made in the morning.
Yeah, and there's stuff there. I'll get into the science behind it.
Okay.
With inflammation and the reasons why, especially as we age, that it's important to do that. But there is literally scientific data to back up that. But you said something this morning that really resonated, and I was playing it over. And look, getting ready to embark on this journey with you, the last thing I want to do is let our team down. Mm-hmm. Let you down, let our audience down,
yeah.
Right? So I was nervous. Like I'm keeping it real, right? I was nervous today, but you said something this morning that really sunk. And as I was reading scripture this morning, praying about today, and and our journey that we're getting ready to start as a team. You said time, Don, time is so important. Like, I value people's time. I will not waste someone's time.
Absolutely.
You've always been that way. That's
Always.
part of the reason why I wanted to partner with you.
Always.
And that commitment and respect for other people's time, that's why you're an amazing CEO. Yeah. That's why you're a good leader. That's what makes you special. That's why I wanted to partner with you. So today, I wanted to convey that because it really, it hit me when I heard you. Like, it's one thing to listen to something. It's another thing to really internalize that. And I walked away going, man, that's, thank you, God. That's exactly what I needed to hear.
No, man, time is everything. We don't get any time back. And I think, if anything, the pandemic showed us time is short. I mean, literally tomorrow's not promised. I mean, we were just sitting here one day, next thing you know, everything's shuttered, right? And, I've lost a few family members during that, but time, you can't get it back. You need to honor it. You can't waste it. And that's why I appreciate you. Every time, hey, what time working out? 4:30? You're there at 4:27, 4:25. Well, you're probably there closer to 4, but you're there early, you're ready to work. You don't waste anybody's time. That's why I always appreciate about you. Like, Don says be there at 12, he's there at 11:55.
Amen.
You're the exact same way. You don't want to waste time.
That's how we were raised.
No,
military time.
No, military time.
How we were raised. You're not 10 minutes early, you're late.
There's a saying, when it's all said and done, there'll be more said and done, but that's not your case. You are a doer, man. And that's why I appreciate you. You're about it. You're about it. You do, and you're all about time, and that's why we click. That's why I click. I don't want to waste please don't waste my time. Don't call a meeting. If it doesn't need to be a meeting, it can be sent via email.
100%. I'm the same way.
You're the exact same way, man. You don't get it. You don't get time back. And I think we're mentioning, faith and fitness and finance and all those things really run into purpose, but you only got one life. How much time have you spent wasting it, chasing dreams or whatever, chasing stuff that didn't matter, right?
Exactly.
And that's why when you were talking about unity, how much time do you spend just randomly arguing with somebody online about something that doesn't even matter? Arguing about a candidate that could care less about either side. Wasting time on foolishness that really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, can you help me get to purpose? That's all I really care about. Can I be fulfilled? I don't care about who you voted for, what you voted for. We can have dialogue, but I'm not going to waste an hour arguing with you over the internet. I don't care.
Agreed.
It's irrelevant to what we're doing. We spend so much time. We waste time on the dumbest stuff.
100%.
Stuff that doesn't matter. That brings no value to our life. As a society, I'm not sure why we're like that, but we don't have time. We don't have any time to waste. When you're trying to get something, when you're trying to come out with something, don't waste it, man. And that's why I appreciate you, because you're always like, hey, 4:30 on the dot. Now I'm getting up. Now I find myself waking up before my alarm to make sure I'm not late.
You got to hold each other accountable. That's what success takes.
No.
Well, I think the audience has a good background now on you and why you chose to do this.
No, thank you, man. This is exciting. So I'm really excited because you talked about me, but I really want to say, the caveat to the audience is, like, I've known you for quite some time, but I really admire you and I look up to you. And I know I've talked about your journey a lot, but what I wanted to know, and for the audience wants to know, is why fitness? What started that? Did you grow up in fitness? Like, what started fitness? Why fitness, Don?
Well, thank you. Very humbled to have you say that. Means a lot, especially coming from you. For me, fitness has been a piece of my life forever. So my dad, I remember being young, like, we would go out for runs, right? So he kind of grew up after coming here. He came here, I want to say, sophomore, junior year, basically from Mexico.
From Mexico.
Not speaking the language at all, right? At all. Didn't even, not a lick of English. And ended up wrestling and was very good. Like, could have wrestled in the Olympics, like had that type of opportunity.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So in the military, that's how they got citizenship, right? Okay. He served in Vietnam. So he had a different mindset with regard to pushing yourself physically. If you did things physically, then you could do things education wise, you could do things spiritually, whatever. But he was that mindset that you go all out. And so I'm not kidding you. I remember being, literally like 6 years old. I'm not joking. We grew up over here off Coleman, and, when my parents were still married. My parents got separated when I was young. They were separated when I was in 6th grade. So we went from having the Cosby type feel to all of a sudden not having the Cosby feel. And it was a complete opposite. Wow. So it was a massive learning curve, right? Because I grew up in a pretty affluent, Anglo neighborhood, right? And my dad was one of the only minorities on the block. My mom is Greek. And so I had two cultures that are very similar, very family oriented, both of them, right? But we would run. So my dad is taking me up Coleman, up Hicks. We're running, and he's taking, just ghosting me.
At age 6.
At age 6, just ghosting me. And he would get pissed, looking at me like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you better keep up. Like, I'm not feeling sorry for you. Like, you got cramps, whatever. That's how I was raised, right? From that jump, right? That mindset. Wow. And so fitness started there. And then really, as I progressed, genetically you grow, right? And I was gifted with sports, football, baseball, basketball. He to this day, wait till he absolutely adores your bottle. Like, yeah, he freaking has it up. He was so mad, when Debbie ended up opening the bottle and sharing it with other people, so he had to buy another one. He got pissed.
We'll get more on
Debbie.
We'll get more.
He loved that bottle. So, and your story about being a minority in a minority-owned business really resonates with him. Like, he appreciates that grind and that hustle, and he will endorse anybody that does that. And you're a proud American, which is something that he really, especially being a military veteran, takes pride in, right? Wow. So
wait, when your parents split, who did you live with?
My mom.
You live with your mom?
My mom, yeah.
Okay.
So it was it was pretty ugly. Like, I got to see the good and the bad, like where police get called out and, for disputes. It was a unique experience. We'll say that. But one thing I'll tell you is that forged me mentally, emotionally, and gave me the tools and equipped me to take on life. So my grandfather, my mom's dad, they, long story short, who I'm named after is my uncle. He died in Vietnam, my mom's only brother.
Wow.
So I was born not even a year after he passed in Vietnam. So I'm named after him. I'm his namesake. Wow. My Uncle Don. So they raised me. So my dad's overseas, right? And so I lived with my grandparents. So imagine losing your son, then gaining a grandson who's named after him, right? That bond was special. 100%. And so, my dad's parents, my abuelito and abuelita, they didn't speak English. So there was always a little bit of, language barrier at times, trying to express emotions and those things, but the love was always there, right? Yeah. Tremendous. But my grandparents on my mom's side, I got really close to. And so I was close to both sides, but I pretty much was raised with them for a period of time. And when my mom and dad got separated, I lived with my grandparents for an extended period of time. Okay. So I went to school, I stayed with them, and my grandfather took an active interest in me. I call him Yaya and Papi, Greek side, right? So my grandfather got sick with cancer. I'll never forget. So it was the 89 earthquake, right? It was high school. I want to say I was a sophomore. They drive up, and I see their little blue Cavalier coming up, and that was really where fitness kind of changed for me. Found out he had cancer, and so that Thanksgiving we spent in the hospital. He had surgery, and so he went through a tremendous battle over a 5-year period that was just terrible. And so I watched it. Food on Greek families is like super important.
Y'all get down.
That is like the source of communication. Yep. Right. That's what brings unity is in family, is that food piece, right? For Greeks. And so it was huge. And watching him not eat and go through that, I actually started to study fitness. And so, genetically, I could do things that I couldn't explain. I could eat freaking donuts, tamales, whatever. It didn't even matter. And I still freaking, crushing on sports. But when you have somebody to learn how to pick things up, walk, do those things, that really impacted me. And so that's what got me on my fitness journey, was to help my grandfather. And then when he passed, I had a really tough time. It was tough because the level of compassion and bonding that we had, he really taught me how to become a compassionate human being, to give back, right? Wow. My dad taught me that hard work ethic, get after it type thing, but that side really taught me, what it is to be a well-rounded person.
So would you say you were disciplined? Who was you say your
my pops by far?
Your father 100%, 100%, disciplinarian?
100%. Wow. I grew up with that, huge. So, Joe Gigantino, who opened Meridian Athletic Club, first was Foxworthy. Literally, he owns some health clubs still now. He's in that space. He gave me my first shot. I came back from college playing ball, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to be a trainer?" And I seen his bulldog tattoo on his calf. He played at Fresno State, and didn't have a chance to go beyond that. And I grew up with kids here, all had chances to go D1, just like me, and playing the pros. Like the Hoffman brothers, one of them ended up playing with the Steelers. Like we grew up very competitive environment here, right? And so literally I go work for him, and dude, he gives me a boombox back then, just like a literal stereo. This is early 90s. Like 92, 93. And I'm upstairs in Meridian Athletic Club after they opened. My whole class was seniors. And you said something about fulfillment on your discussion with the audience. That's really what gave me fulfillment. For the first time, I felt like I was doing something that I was called to do.
Wow.
And so it gave me peace that I didn't have with his loss and that closure of working with seniors. And I'll never forget, there was an older lady that ended up doing a heavy leg press that struggled just to get from a wheelchair to a cane to walking on her own. And seeing her eyes light up and, change her life so that she could do everyday activities, like the empowerment that fitness brings. You don't realize when you lose the ability to do things on your own, freedom, and you're now dependent on someone else for basic functions, how freeing that is. That's why fitness has had such a big impact. And when I told you, when we structured this, if you would have asked me a while ago, be fully transparent, and we'll share that later, but I wouldn't have put faith first. It would have been family, fitness.
Yeah.
And it all changed recently for me, and we can get into that. But that's how my fitness journey kicked off, and I've never looked back. I had a chance to meet Mark Mastroff, the founder of 24 Hour Nautilus, who built 24-hour fitness. I worked for them as an executive for 20 plus years. Opened my own brand, In Motion Wellness, had that for a better part of a decade, worked for Bally Total Fitness. I was an executive with them, UFC gym. I was the vice president of sales running the entire US, opened the San Jose club. It's been a journey, but to your point.
Wouldn't change anything, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't, because it brought me everything.
Yeah. So I know we talked in the past about how you were, I can't remember which fitness one it was. You were a salesperson.
Yeah.
I want to get, well, first of all, let's get into married, kids, how many?
Married, 3 kids.
Three.
They're my kids.
Who's your favorite?
I don't have a favorite. So I'll say this. No, I'll say this. As a parent, they each bring a different dynamic. And that's what, when we talk about unity, it forces you to, and I now knowing the spirit like I have in faith, God gives you that to make you better and refine you, right? So each of them is vastly different. They all have traits of both me and my wife, but they challenge you in such different ways.
Sure.
It is a blessing, and seeing them evolve. Like we were working out one day, and you said something to me, and I was like, dang, man, you're so in the moment, you don't even realize. You're like, bro, I want that. And I was like, we actually started by talking smack about LeBron, but you go, you and I both are not LeBron fans, but you go,
No,
you know
we're
what?
not.
Good
No,
for
we're
him.
not. No, we're not.
We're not. Good for him that he could get his son.
Oh yeah, I'm all about
to be,
nepotism.
and
Yeah,
I'm the
all
same
about
way.
Nepotism.
And then we looked around, and you see my daughters out there on the work, and you're like, D, that's what I want.
1,000%. 1,000%. And I don't apologize for it all. I love it. When I saw your kids at the gym the other day, I'm like, good for you, freaking Don, for putting them in fitness and having them somewhere to go.
All of them have been in fitness,
I have no problem with it. I love it. I love every minute of it. You built something that they can work off of.
That's my goal, right? And I want us to be able to build something with this to be able to share with others.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the journey on what brought me to fitness. What kept me here was the intestinal fortitude it takes to build a business. Just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean you're going to execute and understand fundamentals. And kind of like sports, certain things came naturally to me. I would have been a terrible running back coach. Do you know why? Things just, it just happened. Things slowed down. I could see plays develop.
Yeah.
I could do things that I couldn't tell you to do. Like I just knew instinctively to do certain things. It was hard to tell somebody else that. How do you coach somebody to do something that you just do naturally? That's hard. Like baseball, I could tell you how to cut the plate in half, how to watch the rotation, look at things, how to strike the ball. There's mechanics that you can teach, but some sports, you either have it or you don't. You can't teach somebody how to be a skill player in the NFL. It's or in college football. You can't. That's the thing, right? And so for me, being able to understand that in business, just because I could genetically look a certain way or do certain things back then, doesn't mean I could teach somebody else to do that. So how do you take what comes naturally to you and teach someone the science behind it? So that's where understanding exercise science, being able to study movement. I started to look at things just like I do in business. There's angles and planes. How to manipulate the right angle to be able to attack the muscle fiber or the muscle that you're trying to work and minimize chance of injury, but maximize results. Like that's how I looked at it. And so it was kind of like Rain Man, how he's looking and you see like, I was like, well, that makes sense. And the more I studied, the more I learned, the easier it became.
Do you think, did you push your kids to get into fitness when they were growing up?
No. So how this whole thing arrived, the kids always knew I was in fitness, right? But when I opened my own gym, watching them walk in, and I had an empty shell over in Evergreen, literally. It was Evergreen Village Square, right next to the Mexican restaurant that was there. My wife, literally, I came back from a trip. I was burnt. For the first time in my life in fitness, I was burnt working for Bally's. And I took on a challenge that was hard. We took a company that was negative EBITDA, almost 200 million, and sold it for a positive sale of 55 million. That was a huge swing, right?
That's huge.
Huge
Holy
swing.
moly, that's a huge swing.
So during that debt consolidation and operating that entity with them, it was hard, right? And my wife, I would wake up in a suitcase and I was tired, man. Like when I would come back, when you're traveling like
absolutely.
that. She's like, dude, do you really want to do this? Why don't you take a gamble on yourself? She pushed me.
Of a woman.
Why don't you take a gamble on yourself? And so I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I opened In Motion Wellness, and it was an absolute blessing. Met an incredible group of people along the way, from clients to members that I service to business partners. It was an incredible journey that I look back on. But I remember walking in, we ate at the restaurant next door, and it's an empty shell, and my kids running around in there. That was their first impact on fitness, and I would train them.
No kidding.
I would literally train them and teach them. And so my daughter,
how young were they at the time?
7, 8 years old, 6.
Wow.
And they would shadow me. They would literally Chloe would come and shadow me on personal training sessions.
No kidding.
Yeah,
at
not
age
joking.
7.
Age 7, 8, yep.
No kidding.
And so by the time she was in high school, she said, Dad, I really want to do this. But she's an incredible singer, as you know.
Yeah.
You had her. Voice. My wife's voice is amazing. She could have done that.
That's where she gets her voice from your
Oh, it ain't from me. I can't hold a tune in a bucket. No, man. That's not me. But yeah, that's
it's got to be a proud moment to. I mean, just I see your kids at the gym. I'm just like, wow, to see them training and then know they got it from you. It's got to be a proud moment for you.
100%.
Especially nowadays, given how the last generation behind us is kind of always in trouble doing God knows what. To have 3 stand-up kids who are causing no trouble, literally into fitness, something that you created, it's got to be a moment where you're just like, wow.
It's an absolute blessing.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. You said COVID. That's why I'm here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for COVID. So I had a client. I remember having dialogue with this client, Jasmir Abdul Vahid. I remember him to this day. We're sitting there. I used to have a multi-compounded machine, kind of like a cable machine that we work on at the gym on the corner of my facility. And so we're working, and he looks at me and he's like, I said, he's like, bro, if I seen you in a coffee shop, I would have thought you were a dumb jock.
Wow.
Just came out.
That's what he said?
Yeah. Some
just
cats
like
unfiltered, right? Some cats unfiltered. He goes, but the moment I heard you speak, how I see your mind with angles, planes, fitness, programming, that type of stuff, he's like, you got to take that. You have a gift. He's like, you're these 4 walls, they can't bind you. He goes, listen, I don't know if you're aware. He's like, but there's stuff getting ready to happen with blockchain technology. That's the first time I heard about it. It's way back.
Yeah.
It's 10 years before it even rolled out. He's talking to me about blockchain. He's talking to me obviously about crypto and connecting me on things that are going to be digital assets, and then going, listen, why can't we take what you know in fitness and digitalize it? Why can't we do smart fitness equipment? So we started to create algorithms on fitness equipment. We could do pitch and yaw, just rotational movements I couldn't track. All of a sudden, the algorithms got jacked up. But we, without a POC, got patents. And this is me, right? Thinking, oh, well, I went to law school. I got this.
Yeah.
Okay, guess what? Patents, totally different ballgame. I didn't realize you got to have patents in every country known to mankind in order to protect your stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, your intellectual property is totally at risk if you go out there and put yourself out there and get published.
No kidding.
Man, was that a very costly financial wake up? And I had a few of those epiphanies along the way, right? Where you make mistakes, but they're learning mistakes. So some years are earning years, some years are learning years.
Absolutely.
That was a learning year. It was not an earning year. So I literally, got this entire project rolling, and a good buddy of mine, Giuseppe Virzi, who's based in Milan, said, hey, look, I got the founders of Techno Gym. They want to hear your pitch. Me and this dude go way back. He's like, look, I can help you. I want to bridge this gap. I know what you got, D. And so we jumped on a meeting with this group from Italy. This guy without POC is like, I like you. I like your product. Like a lot of the ones you had, I'm in. I want it. I was like, done. We had another follow-up call with his financial team, done. They were willing to buy outright our entire platform and get us off the ground. Wow. So I like 60 Minutes. I grew up here. It's more nostalgic for me because of my.
You're showing your age.
I know it's more nostalgic because of my grandparents. I used to watch it with them, and so I put it on, and I'm like, all of a sudden I see that clock, and Italy's underwater, and I look at Kelly and I was like, oh, this ain't good, and she's like, I go, that's exactly where that group is from. Like the Vatican is underwater.
Yeah.
Okay, fast forward a week later, he goes, so I call him right away and I sent him an email. I said, listen, anything I can do to help, anything, we could do to support you, let us know. Mm-hmm. He's like, I just need another week. We're good. Everything will be cool. We've got this thing being worked on. Next week, COVID happens. So I'm not joking. And Italy, if you recall, was one of the hardest hit countries in the beginning. And so I'm like, okay, this is not good.
Wow.
So you go through life with those type of hurdles and obstacles. And I pitched 2-3 other people. Oh yeah, we got it. We're going to do it. Yep, we're here. We get right to the finish line. Nope, not happening. So I probably had a dozen of those type of conversations.
When it's all said and done, there'll be more said than done. A lot of people like to do a lot of talking.
It's that time thing that you talked about. And that's where I go, you know what? All right, I'm going to pitch Adam, who's the CEO of UFC Gym.
Yep.
So I wanted to talk to Mark, who's one of my mentors, right? The founder of 24, founder of UFC, Crunch, all of that. So he's got a boardroom and all these cats are in there. And I'm like, I just felt like he was trying to sell me. He was listening, but it was more to entertain me. Mm-hmm. He was like, all right, yeah, that's all good. And we'll talk about that because that's some smart stuff. But I want to talk about how we can get you. By the way, Oak Ridge is opening. And I'm like, what? Yeah. And he knew I had a gym over there in Evergreen. So I rolled almost 60% of my members into Oak Ridge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So COVID happened, and talk about humble. I was at a point where I was rubbing nickels together, figuring out, because I had burnt through savings, through everything.
Everything.
Literally.
Trying to make it work.
I was like, okay, I don't. What was that?
Were you sleeping?
No, none.
No, nothing.
I literally didn't even have a gym, and I was training, and I was so fortunate to have clients that would stick with me. I was walking around a park training clients, bro.
Just trying to make
just
it
trying
work.
to survive, man.
Wow.
And so I was feeding the family by doing that.
Yep.
And I'm like, bro, this is crazy. Talk about humbling, going from executive level positions to nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing. And we couldn't even control it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I'll never, ever bow down to COVID or any type of stuff again. I'm sorry. Ain't nobody telling me I can't work
1,000%
to feed my family. So that was, that ain't happening.
To go from there all the way at the bottom, I mean, what kept you, I mean, literally you had to have faith.
I did, and I'll say this, thank God for my parents, right? They were rocks on both sides. went out to see Pops, and he's very encouraging. Listen, you could do this. You've always done everything. My mom, same thing. And then my wife, she was there the whole
Get you a
time.
good
riding.
woman. Get you a good woman.
She was
Get
there
you a
riding
good
the whole
woman.
time. Like, just you know what? Go listen to what they had. So Adam hits me up and he's like, hey man, I want you to come on and consult for Oak Ridge. Next thing I know, I'm trapped. You remember, I'm in New York. I'm all over.
I'm like, man, this dude's always on the freaking. You were like New York, Ohio,
everywhere,
SoCal. Like, what does this dude do? I don't understand.
I ran the entire company sales program. So I remember I'm like, okay, if I'm going to go, I need to pull some people over to Oak Ridge. So that's why I bought a membership at 24 over on Cottle Mall.
That's why
I bought it so I could promote.
No kidding.
So I'm hustling, I'm like, I'm going to do two things with one stone. I'm going to go pull everybody that I know from over here.
You pulled everybody. And then I pulled everybody too. And we was like, hey man, my boy Don, like, we just start. I think a whole group of us went over there at one point.
55 people from there went.
Yeah. No, it was divine timing, man. We were over.
Yeah, he was absolutely graceful. So that's, and the rest is history, right? Literally a year ago, they came to me, ownership group of San Jose, and said, hey man, we want you to sacrifice, and talk about rolling the dice. We want you to be a part of our ownership group in San Jose as a minority partner.
Yeah.
But we need you full focused here. Are you willing to sacrifice the corporate position for this position? It's entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Are you willing to step back into that mix? I gambled and did it. And I'm like, because I wanted to, I've always believed in launching a podcast and doing things, right? So then we fast forward, literally January this year, all kinds of stuff started hitting me. I went and did a podcast the year before with Sal and Mind Pump, right? His group. Yep. And so they were gracious, had me on an episode, and I got a chance to, talk about how I met Sal and our journey a little bit together. And it really, really kind of pushed me, like, this is something that I could see myself doing. That's when I first started talking to you.
You did. I thought you were crazy.
You did.
1,000. I was like, oh my God, Don, don't. I think I was like, don't talk.
You did. You did. So I met this kid there, and so I see him at the gym. Okay, true story. See this kid at the gym, and that's when the podcast came to light. So I see this kid at the gym, knees messed up, and I'm like, hey man, you should go do recovery. And so I start talking to him about it, and he's like, have you talked to Sal? I said, no, I haven't had a chance to connect. We connect maybe once, 90 days, 6 months, whatever. And it's like, we don't lose space.
Yeah.
He was the best man at my wedding. He's hustling. He's doing his thing. I'm hustling. Just whenever we connect. And you know what I mean? I love that guy like a brother, right? So he's like, man, he went through some tough stuff. He's actually coming forward about his faith. I was like, what? So now we'll start the faith journey. So I grew up, my mom converted from Greek Orthodox to Catholicism. My mom was my catechism teacher. Obviously, Hispanic family, 100% Catholic church. Right. Yeah. So my mom, I went through First Communion, did all that, right? Grew up, parents got separated. I watched how a dysfunctional relationship can impact both religion, family dynamics, the whole nine, right? And so it kind of put a stigma on things. Then you fast forward, I told you about the journey that I went through with my grandfather. I never even heard that man swear.
So you really had, based on between a divorce and your grandpa getting sick, you really had no reason to believe in God.
No, no. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. It's not that I didn't believe, I always believed. I didn't know how to connect with God. I had a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness that was there. And I didn't realize I was being refined in this process, right? Wow. So I go and I talk to this kid, and I'm like, what's crazy is if you rewind, when I was in Arizona opening up the Arizona market for 24, I met this dude, Craig Rinaldi, one of the best chiropractors, right? And I'm not going to name the athlete, but there was a top athlete that he worked on that played Major League Baseball. You look at his life, and it's funny because we kind of talked about something similar, but this is what really hit home with me. Beautiful wife, beautiful kids, and he's out doing stupid stuff.
I'll believe it. Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. And so I talked with Dr. Rinaldi, and we were having dialogue, and he's like, man, I'm thinking about going to this men's group. And I was like, men's group. I didn't connect the dots. Men's group, biblical studies. And so I was getting ready to have a conversation. So no BS. And you know me, I'm a very grounded, that's that Greek side. Really, like, I love philosophy. I love analyzing things, data-driven decisions, very grounded in logic, right? Yeah. So that was me. And if it wasn't logical and 1 + 1 didn't equal 2, I wasn't having it. Okay. I wasn't about that. So, kid you not, and I've never even shared this with you, I am having a conversation on a Friday night in Scottsdale, Arizona, at our Scottsdale and Thunderbird Club, and I could see it just like yesterday. This was one of the Q clubs that we converted. So it's a massive club. They have a huge restaurant in the front, and you could see the swimming pool. My office was in the back. I was running all of there and a little bit of Southern California at the time. This guy comes in, and the parking lot is huge. And Scottsdale and Thunderbird, the air park is right across, the private air park that goes over by Kierland Commons Shopping Center. Out of nowhere, I just felt like we were literally having a God conversation about Bible studies. I'm listening to his testimony, and they page me up front. I go up there, and I just felt this negative energy. I've never experienced that before. And I'm not a type that's gonna, me. I'm all in your grill if some ain't vibing right. So I walk up, and immediately I make eye contact, and this person leaves. And I'm like, bro, that was weird. Yeah. Like, I've never felt a weird energy like that before. That's all I can say. And it was right when I was getting to profess, hey man, I need to do something. It was weird. It was like gonna throw me off. Wow. I'll never forget that. So mind you, I haven't had a conversation. I end up going through change, career path, blah, blah, sell my house, economy downturn in 2008, sold property there, came back to California. It was a whole ordeal, right? So needless to say, I didn't go through the Bible studies. So one thing happened to another. I'm traveling, I'm doing this, just never materialized. Yeah. I look back and I'm like, bro, this is crazy. So I have a conversation with Sal. I hear his testimony, very powerful. For those that want to hear it, go to Mind Pump. You can listen to Sal DiStefano's, biblical testimony. It's very impactful. So he has a conversation with me, and he says, I'm going to start a group. I said, okay. He goes, I'd like you to be there. He goes, do you want to see the first topic? I'm going to text it to you. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, bet. So he shoots me a text. It was about me. About leadership. Oh, wow. And I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. So I didn't know what to say. I really didn't, right? I was in shock. And so I said, I'll be there. I opened up my Bible that my mom gave me for my birthday, and I had stuffed money in there. I had started to read it. I went through a little bit of Genesis. I never read the Bible, E.
Never.
E. Wow. Scripture, whatever. Never read the Bible. Okay, brother, you know my age. I never read the Bible. So this is this year. Mm-hmm. So I go to the first meeting, and I'm like, my mom is very religious. My dad is very religious. They've tried to get me. I've gone to church with them. My mom's Pentecostal. My dad's still Catholic. I've gone to church with them, but I was always like, you're not going to push me into this. Like, it's not. Yeah. I love you. I respect you. I believe in God, but I'm going to do it on my terms, my way. Like, I'm not doing this. So that was always me. But I didn't live that way. So, and I'll say this, as a man, I always battled lust. Always. Mm-hmm. That was hard. It was difficult, right? Anybody that tells you anything different, greed, envy, self-centeredness, strife, right? Yeah. All of that stuff. I was him. Yeah. I was him. And I was a sinner, like 100%. But I always thought if you're a good person, right? You treat people right, you try to do the right thing, you're going to be good. No. Man, I'm going to tell you something. I was wrong. And all of a sudden, I go to this Bible study, and I'm watching these men. And part of what my issue was about going to churches is I've gone to some, and one of them turned me off when I was really looking for that right when my son was born. Okay. So when we had Nico, me and my wife, we weren't married yet. Okay. So Nico was conceived out of wedlock. Okay. And obviously I married her, but I knew at some point I was going to have to explain how Nico's in my wedding, right? Right? He's the best man. And the girls asked me like, hang on, Dad, how does that happen, right? I knew at some point I was going to have to answer for that. So literally I'm at this church and I heard this pastor going down on like premarital sex and all that. So basically condemning me, right?
You, sure.
So I remember
Well, you
going
felt
back
convicted. Yeah,
and
you
having a
felt convicted.
conversation with them.
Oh, you went to the pastor?
We went in. My mom's like, yeah, my mom was all in on this. So I went in and had a conversation, and intellectually I was challenging him.
Yeah.
And he's like, son, I don't have answers for what you're saying. I think you have a calling I don't think you realize. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude.
I ain't trying to hear that.
I just shut it down. Shut it down.
Yeah.
Mind you, my brother-in-law, fast forward, I have a sister, Jessica. My brother-in-law, pastor, like Pentecostal, like hardcore. Been telling me years, D, telling you you have a calling. I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to hear that, right? Push it off. So I go to this first Bible study. I don't even know what to expect, E. I'm there, and I'm like, okay. I just heard this voice, like, be real. Don't be something you're not. Be real.
Yeah.
So I shared what I just shared, my struggles.
Open up the
All these dudes started opening up.
Yep.
About pornography, looking at like things like just craziness, right?
I remember that day that you came back from the Bible study too. Let me throw the caveat there. So we've been working out, probably at this point, probably about 2 years.
Yeah.
We never talk about faith.
Never.
And so funny you mentioned about bringing it down your throat. So born Christian, I don't bring it up a lot either because I don't want anybody to think I'm forcing down your throat. But I'm a Christian. You ask, I'll tell you. But we don't meditate on it. We'll just work out. We just pretty much talk about sports, and you're screaming at me to squat down low, throw my butt down low, right?
Yes.
Right? Like, but when you came back that night from the Bible study, you were something had clicked. I could tell, and you were like, you got to, and then you were like, you got to come. So I went home and I told my wife, I was like, Don's going through this, and I call it what I call the Jesus journey. The question I always ask is, how long is it going to last? Because typically when people find Jesus, they get a spark, and then it kind of dies down, right? That's why I told him, I said, yeah, he's going through this thing. He invited me to Bible study. Now I've been, I do it, right? But I was just like, we'll see. I literally was just like, I was skeptical. Just be 100% honest.
No, I love it.
I was completely skeptical. I was like, here we go again. And because what happens is you'll find faith, you find it, and then you start spouting stuff that I already know. Like, here we go again. He's going to tell me about, he's all the stuff that he's going to find. He's going to then relay to me, which I've already heard because I grew up in churches that, you know what I mean? So I was real skeptical, 1,000% honest. I was like, okay, he's going to go through it. And here you are a year and a half later. And you've been, the stuff that you share, I'm like, mind opening, eye-opening, some of the stuff that you're sharing. And iron sharpens iron. Now, I have heard that phrase forever, but truly, iron sharpens irons. And so your faith literally like motivated me to continue it and like not be a know-it-all. Because you just get desensitized to this stuff, right? You're irritated. You see the same scriptures. You see it over and over again. You get kind of tired of it, right? But when you went back, I was like, when you told me, I was like, oh man, here he goes. He's gonna invite. And I was thinking about it. I didn't say it. I was like, he's gonna invite me, and then he's, you know what I mean?
I can't wait because we need to connect on that. But I'll share this, man. I think it's a perfect place to share my testimony as to why I wanted to do this podcast even more with you. I opened the Bible and I started reading, and the guys, every single person I talk to, but you know me, when I do something, I'm all in. Right. And I have a natural curiosity to learn as much as possible. So they go, jump from the New Testament to the Old Testament. Don't do the other way. I said, no. I'm going to start front to back. They're like, come on. Really? So I opened the book. I started reading. The more I consumed. That's why I started waking up early, was to read. Then I would read at night. Then it consumed me. The more I read about Genesis, the more I got into the Old Testament, learned about all of these iconic figures that are biblical that I had heard stories about that I didn't really know. When I watched their walk and I watched their struggles as men, I'm like, why didn't I read this sooner?
Yeah,
a lot of the challenges that I felt were right there. So mind you, I'm going through this, and I remember, I'll never forget, Sal comes out, and I was there. I was going to his Bible studies. And he's like, D, you're on fire. And I'm like, no, I don't feel that way at all. Like, I feel very inept, inadequate, not worthy. Like, I felt so many feelings. That was not one at all, right? Wow. And I felt very uncomfortable, unless it was somebody like you that I have a relationship with. I felt really uncomfortable sharing my testimony. Like, I wasn't worthy, right? Because I didn't grow up in that background.
Yeah.
So I'm reading, and I'll never forget. He's like, well, it sounds like you're retaining all this. I'm like, I don't think so, man. I don't know. I'm trying. Like, I was taking notes, and I'm like, I have a photographic memory though with stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I remember praying, and that was really hard, right? Because when you go from Catholic to another religion like Christianity, you go through robotic motions, right? Instead of really coming from the heart. And that's not a knock against anything, but
Sure.
it just seemed very mechanical in the way that it was. And it wasn't of the spirit of the heart, right? So I remember praying, and I'm like, look, obviously you know everything, right? You could see everything, good, bad, and different. The first time I was like, I need to pray for people that did me wrong.
Wow.
Like, it hit me. And I did. I started to pray, and there were some bad things that happened. Like, I will say this, both from professional stance with companies, I'm not going to name them, where, you know, we talk about starting companies as minorities, you know, being Latin American. There are things that you go through, no different than being African American, right? And it just blew me away, some of the things and ignorance that people shared, right? But I always looked at it from an education standpoint, where I'm like, they just don't know what they don't know. Like, right? That's it.
Ignorance is bliss.
Like, I looked at it like that, right? That's how I grew up. And it was a challenge. I took on those mental hurdles. So I'm reading, and I'm like, I need some help. Please help me forgive these people. And then I knew right there, I'm like, I come from a sinner's mouth, mind, heart, and body. I need your help. I need you to refine me in the areas that you want me to see you.
This is the prayer that you said.
This is the prayer that I'm literally having this prayer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, please help me, because I'm not retaining this. And I literally go to sleep, and I don't dream. I'm not like the average cat where you have dreams. Like, bro, I could count on a hand how many times I remember anything. I wake up and I get licked, and I'm like, but I'm sleeping, and I'm startled. I look, and it is a white lamb. And I see this light radiate and a hand come down, and I'm like, I wake up, and it started at 3 a.m. I'm not joking, man. Wow. And it stopped my heart.
You saw the lamb already? You're newborn. So, my goodness.
So I mind you, I'm reading, right? And I was reading, and probably about 4 days later, all of a sudden in the book is that picture.
It's a picture of the white, yep.
And it's Jesus on that cliff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Wow. Bro, talk about impactful.
Yeah.
That happened, right? So I get into the New Testament, and the moment I started the New Testament, I'm like, oh my gosh, the light.
The lights go on.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel that light. I'm not in darkness anymore. Wow. Like, literally, it was uplifting. But with that, the attacks started, like the spiritual attacks that you go through. I hadn't thought about lust or other things. All that stuff starts happening, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to like battle it. So literally, I get into the New Testament. I'm probably like, 3 books in, and all of a sudden, I remember telling Sal, we had a conversation. I shared. I go, I'm thinking about doing a podcast with my boy. Mm-hmm. I want faith to be the cornerstone of what we're doing, because it's impacting me in such a significant way.
Yep.
Like, it's changed my life. Yeah. And he's like, D, I'm thinking about doing it. So we're at one of his Bible studies at his house, and I've been there a bunch of times, and I'm looking at the carpet, and I see this like evil face in the carpet design, and I'm like, what the heck? Dude, I don't do drugs. You know that. So I'm like, this is a trip, dog. And so I'm like, whatever. The guys say rebuke it. I'm like, whatever. Yeah. We're in a Bible study, and I'm seeing this. So Sal starts sharing that he's going through all these attacks right now, like crazy attacks. I have a dream about him. We're in a house and getting attacked, and this voice is telling me, don't be tied to this. This is blasphemy. Like, this is coming. I'm like, no.
Wow.
And I go back at it, and I'm like, no. And so I share this with him, and he's like, bro, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so scripture that I'm sharing with him, he's like, oh my gosh, I was thinking about that. And now at church, this came up. Like, we had this weird connection, because it started with our testimonies. Yeah. I knew him like I knew you, not one time.
Not one time.
He was an atheist. Not one time did we ever talk religion.
Wow.
But we were boys. Like, I'm talking 30 plus years in business.
Yeah.
Not one time did we ever talk about religion. Here's where it gets crazy. I'm getting into Revelations, and
which is by far one of the most difficult books to read. A lot going on.
So now I'm going to tell you this. I read the Bible cover to cover, right? Not long after that, like it literally took me 90 days. I read the entire Bible cover to cover, right? And I've gone through multiple books again, New Testament, Old Testament, right? I'm getting ready to start Revelation soon again. Like I'm reading through the entire New Testament, almost there. And I kept waking up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, this is weird. So I'm looking it up. It's like, hey, that's the time you need to pray. It's biblical. Right? And so I don't know if I'm retaining this again, right? I have that doubt, right? And so I have this dream, and I will never forget it. There's a long table and it's like cement, and I'm up on top of this hill, and it's covered. There's a cloth going like this way, not the long way, and it's beautiful. These two women are there, and they have shrouds over, and there's another woman there, and next thing I know, and I say this to our audience, like, please, like, I've never shared my testimony, but this is why I'm like in like this. This lady starts speaking in a tongue, and I don't speak in that, but I recognize that she's speaking something that's not true, and I'm like, you're saying something that's not true, and I call her out on it. And I look up, and all of a sudden it gets dark. Kind of like when we're going to the gym with the fog. It gets dark, and I see these patterns in the sky, and I'm like, what the heck? And I look down, because we're up on this hill, and I see people looking up like this. Next thing I know, I look up, I see the opening happen in the sky, and there's chariots coming, and I'm like, the first thing I knew is he's coming, he's coming. Oh my gosh, our Lord and Savior's coming. And then immediate goosebumps, and I'm like, did I do enough? Did I do enough?
Wow.
And I was in absolute fear. Did I do enough? Now, I have this conversation with my partners. This is all while I'm starting the new venture here, right? Yeah. And I go, listen, I kind of want to start rolling faith into the gym. And they're like, okay.
Go for it.
Go for it, D. And I'm like, are you sure? They're like, go for it. So I did the first faith night, if you remember. It was one of our biggest nights financially, which I was scared, man. I'm starting to play Christian music at times throughout the gym. I still love my hip hop. I still love you know that. I'm that guy.
Gospel don't hit as hard when you're lifting his
come on,
rap, man.
But I am who I am. Like, I'm not going to be something that I'm not. And so I cannot tell you how many men I have had conversations with that have opened up, that are struggling with a lot of the struggles I had. There are more people coming biblically to Christ than ever before, in masses right now. It's one of the largest things. And I'm going to tell you something. What gives me hope, is seeing young men of the future that are 20-something years of age that are coming to Christ way sooner than I did, way more biblical knowledge than I have, way more passion to it. That's a game changer. And being able to share this with my family now, and being able to bring them, they came to my baptism. I got baptized. I shared it with you.
Yeah, you did.
The church that I go to, there's so many people at the gym that are there. Like, you notice the change in the entire energy of the club. Yeah. Like, it's different. It's crazy. But I feel a calling, just like with this podcast now. I really feel a spiritual calling to help people.
You're so, like, this, you talking about this is how you came literally to me randomly one day. I was like, oh my God, you went on for like an hour at our workout. I was like, Jesus Christ, Don. So I love it. It's like, oh yeah, Don found Jesus. How long will it last? I'm a skeptic, right? I'm like, oh no, Don's like, really. I felt something like, I'm like, it was almost like you had a Paul on the road to Damascus.
Yes,
you had an encounter. That's the way I take it. I was like,
and
wow.
Of all people, me. I was like the guys that were persecuting other people. For whatever reason, you get that calling. And I really feel that this content that we're going to create for our audience is going to empower them on these 4 pillars. And I'm not gonna hold back. Faith is a strong one for me now.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't always like that. It wasn't. But it is the first staple. The second staple is fitness, because if you are not physically fit, I'm not talking about being able to dunk a basketball or do a bodybuilding show. What I'm talking about is being able to have the freedom not to depend on others, but to be there for others. When you have codependence on people because you are physically unable, that's a difficult thing.
Yep.
And then you look at family. That is our why. That's
our
why.
What are we doing? Yeah.
That's our legacy, right? For everybody. And I look at this as the human family. Like, we are all one. We're all one. And if we share the same planet, we share the same space, we share the same air.
All bleed red.
Yeah.
All bleed red.
And we literally share the same.
We're all created in his image. 100%.
Yeah. So it's like, now it's a matter of how do we empower people with the right tools and finance? Because you talked about, and I know that was a long thing on the faith journey, but I'm gonna be honest with you. That's why we're here today for me.
Yeah.
That is the thing that pushed me over the edge, that gave me my why. But the reality is that financial component and financial literacy, along with biblical knowledge, all of those things are all imperative. But you talk about the journey of being an entrepreneur. It's like jumping out of an airplane without knowing how you're going to come down.
Zero.
Like you just
Zero.
have pure faith. Pure faith.
You literally.
I don't have a parachute. I'm going to build it on the way down.
Nothing. You have to have nothing but faith.
Well, that's us right now. That's us right now. So I hope that this message resonates with the audience, that they get
1,000%.
convicted.
Yeah. Well, look, we didn't get canceled our first episode, so we're doing all right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. So where can they find us, Don?
Well, E, go ahead, shoot it out.
You like what you saw today, you can find us on Instagram at Measure It Podcast something. Measure It Podcast. Also check our YouTube channel, Measure It as well. And we'll be back here same time next week. Look forward to doing it, brother.
And we're going to eventually have some clothing and some different things.
Oh, yeah. Check out the merch.
These
you got
too.
the merch. Look, the microphones, the merch. We're going to get Don a big old chain, you know what I mean? So you can take a look.
I'll rock it. You know I'd rock it.
No, it's been a pleasure, brother. Until next time.
All right.